Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here with another Week 10 game preview. And today we're going to be going over the Bears versus the Lions. Let's get it started. So the over-under for this game is 41, and the spread is -3 Bears. So we're going to start with the Lions. Matthew Stafford has been on absolute fire. 36, 29, 31 fantasy points. He's been looking absolutely great. The last 2 weeks, he did it over some easy opponents. Giants are 8th against the quarterback. Oakland's number 1 against the quarterback, which means they both are pretty terrible. They allow the most fantasy points. Sorry, I should have clarified that. Oakland allows the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Giants allow the 8th most fantasy points to quarterback, and he took them out. Now, Minnesota is very good against the quarterback. They allow the 23rd most fantasy points to the quarterback, which is not very good. And he still had 36. So I think that Matthew Stafford has proven that he can play football. He's proven that he can play well. That being said, man, those Bears are for real. They've been for real for like 2 years now. They're only allowing 14.3 fantasy points a game to the quarterback. That's not very good. I think Matthew Stafford has a down game this week. I have him scoring less than 20 points. So I'd probably try to find a better option. But I do think that he can be playable, but I wouldn't see him as a QB1. Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, they've both been playing pretty well. Kenny Golladay, 29, 23 fantasy points. Absolutely fantastic. Over the last 4 games, he's averaging almost 100 yards, which is fantastic. He's on the field 85% of the time. That's solid. But the Bears are the third best against the wide receiver. So I don't think both him and Marvin Jones go off. I do think Kenny Golladay has a pretty solid day. I think that there's a chance that either they both have an okay day and get you around 12 to 15, or one has a big day and the other one is left wishing that they caught a touchdown. But I do think that they're both startable. I definitely have them both as startable. Kenny Golladay as a wide receiver, high-end wide receiver 2, and Marvin Jones is a low-end wide receiver 2 to flex. Now, when it comes to running back, Ty Johnson was trying to take the role, but he's been playing terrible. 8 fantasy points, 4, 5. These last 3 games, absolutely awful. Not trying to play him. Even though the Bears can be attacked on the ground, allowing the 12th most fantasy points to the running back position at 20 points, I'm still not trying to figure out which one's going to do it. TJ Hawkinson, I think, actually is a fine play this week. He's not been playing well this season, even though he came out and had a fantastic game to start the year off. You can't live in the past, people. Just because something happened at the beginning of the season does not make it relevant now. Times change, teams change. They adapt to what they think that the opponent's going to do. I think TJ Hawkinson could have had a much better year if he would have just caught the ball. I've watched that man drop more touchdown passes than anybody else in the league. But I think that he could have a good game this week against the Bears. The Bears allow the 5th most points to the tight end at 9.1. I think he ends somewhere around there. So I think that he's playable. And I'm definitely not starting the Lions defense. Bump that. I mean, looking at that. Alrighty then. Let's go to the Bears. Man, Mitchell Trubisky has not been playing hot, guys. He's been playing pretty bad. 6 points, 8 points. 24 points was solid against New Orleans. New Orleans is a pretty decent defense, but man, he's been playing terrible. That being said, the Lions are the 7th worst against the quarterback, allowing 21.3 fantasy points a game. So I think if you're in a desperation play, you can play Mitch Trubisky, but I don't see him as a quarterback 1, and I have him closer to a bottom tier quarterback 2. Allen Robinson, though, I think should have a pretty solid game. The Lions are ranked 11th against the wide receiver. I know he gave you a big dud in this last game, only giving you 1 fantasy point, but before that, 11 and 24. I think that he's going to get closer to the middle of that. I'm thinking like 15 points. He's been pretty solid other than this last terrible game. So I think that he can be okay, even though Mr. Trubisky has not been playing well. Then let's go down to David Montgomery, who is actually getting attempts. The last 2 weeks, 14, 27 attempts. I love to see that. He's also involved in the passing game, 3 and 4 receptions. Love that. The Lions allow the most points to the running back position, so I think David Montgomery is a fantastic start, and I actually have him as a fringe running back 1 this week. Yes, I know he was playing terrible before 2 weeks ago, but you know what? Times change, and I'm changing with him. If he keeps the attempts above 14 to 20, I think that he is going to run all over the Lions. And if that's the case, Tariq Cohen, a sneaky flex play. I don't think that he has a fantastic game, but considering the fact that the Lions can't cover the running back position tight, Tariq Cohen is possibly viable as a flex play. I think he can get you about 10 points. All right, and the Bears, you can start the Bears. I'm not excited about starting the Bears. Now, for everybody that thinks you should be drafting a defense early, last 3 weeks, 5, 7, and 7. That's not worth drafting in the 12th, 11th round, people. Stop drafting your defenses so early. You could draft them in the 13th round, in my personal opinion, but going up to the 11th, 10th, you're really giving up a lot for somebody that's probably not going to perform how you think they're going to. And that's going to do it. Fantasy Bay, hit me up if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the rest of my social media down below. I have videos on the rest of the matchups for week 10, plus a trade video out there, so I can teach you how to do a trade. It's called The Art of the Trade. I will see you soon, everybody. Good luck tomorrow, and Fantasy Bay, I'm out.